Seriously, if you're one of these people that click off a video because the ad comes on, you're going to miss something. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's Mo from CricketBatInfo, and if you're finding me for the first time, I review cricket bats that are sent to me by the owners, sometimes by manufacturers. And in this case, we've got a bat that's been sent in by the owner. You've already read the description, so you know what it is. This is a blank bat laminate. It's not something they sell off the shelves. It's been purchased from them by the owner making contact with Ty at Blank Bats. I'll put their details in the description if you want to find out about it. And what this actual bat is it's called a laminate. And if you don't know what a laminate is, I'm going to explain it to you. So basically, normally a bat is made out of a solid piece of timber. And it's basically shaped, pressed, handled, and you play with it. In this case, what they actually do is they bond a better playing piece of timber to the front of something maybe potentially lower density but cheaper, and the bonding process by using a glue which is within the pressing line. So the pressing line might be that the willow is actually pressed up to 8mm deep, maybe more. That actual willow has actually been pressed along with the glue, along with the willow behind it, and that creates potentially more rebound. Now, laminates themselves, and I'll pick this one up to show you. So the pressing line is really obvious on this one. It's probably a couple of millimeters from the face, and you can see it on both sides. More easily because there's a little bit of redwood on this side, so you can see that colour discoloration on this edge. So that's actually what's going on. You can see the face there. We've got a stunning piece of timber, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 grains. Nice and straight, fairly even. But on this side, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grains. So that's what a laminate is. They're bonding really nice timber onto not so flashy timber, and that's the bonding process that's actually going to create a lot of the performance, because it's the glue that creates an additional stiffness to the bat and holds it together. There was some thought in the early 80s, 70s that this was the way to go, and in fact I think it was Gooch who used a Surridge. I'll have to put up a picture of it, but they were banned because he was using them in Test cricket at that stage. But yeah, they're actually banned from the laws within the game because of the performance benefit. My general opinion is probably as we head into the future where there's going to be a real scarcity of decent timber, for the amateur players, you know, maybe this would be the way to go, and then everybody could have a 9-grain bat, and the willow merchants themselves could clear all the slightly discoloured willow. Generally, you can see behind that nice facing of willow that you've got probably a grade 3 or grade 4 piece of timber. You've got a big knot down here, you've got some pin knots here. The knot doesn't travel all the way through, but we've got some pin knots here. Maybe this knot here is the one that ends up down this end. The owner said to me, "Mark, it's occurred to me over the weekend that it may be worth mentioning in your review that Blank Bats don't usually offer laminates as part of their range. It was a one-off which they supplied with their stickers on it. To the best of my knowledge, it's not one of their usual model range shapes, but I have to admit I've never seen another Blank Bat here in the flesh. It's pretty similar in shape to a couple of the Keeleys that I have. To me, this would probably be, I think, a B1. Pretty similar to the shape of a couple of others. I have slightly thicker toe and disappointingly thin handle. It's also worth noting that Ty from Blank Bats has never explicitly said that the bat is made by Tim Keeley." So when I first reviewed Blank Bats, even owned them, at that stage the Keeley brothers weren't off on their own making their own label. They used to make for all different brands, including Newbury. But more recently they've gone off and done their own thing. So we don't know if this is a Keeley. There's some definite hallmarks that that would say to you it's a Keeley, and I'll sort of try to identify those as I go along. My gut feeling is it probably is, but I don't know, and neither does the owner. Nice to see good quality grip on it for once too, which is not necessarily for once too. Blank bats I've had have had this grip. This is the hybrid grip. It's a latex grip. And he's wondering whether you can buy these in Australia. So if you actually know where you can get these in Australia, comment in the video where this particular grip can be found. Let's have a look at what it looks like through the gauge. And so the first thing is the spine is fully convex. You can see that there, and it's probably coming within 5 mils of the peak, which is 67, 68. So I'd imagine it's about 63. And the face camber is flush on the gauge, which is a 5mm face camber. The bat itself is pretty much filling the gauges from side to side, so I don't think this bat will have any issues with width. As I move it up towards the top, it does get slightly narrower and come back down, and it's definitely thicker down the top, so you can actually see that as I move that there. There's a couple of probably 3mm there, and as I come back towards the face, that gap is closed. That's a natural sort of thing when you're actually making the bats. You've got the finishing tools, your planes and things like that, and you might press a little bit more in one direction as you start the cut, and it will cut a little bit more away than the other side. You know, I don't actually ever have issues with that type of thing unless it's like 103.5mm or something ridiculous like that. Let's look at the dimensions. So we'll start up here, 15mm, 15.6, and measure this area here, 36.5, so that's really good. The spine is peaking in a mid-low position, and it's 39.7. And the toe at the edge is 22, and in the center, remember it's got a little bit of a duckbill, so I'd imagine it'd be about 27, and it's 26.8. We'll measure the top of that spine. The spine is peaking slightly above the position of the edges in this position here. That might be slightly off actually. Might be slightly less than that. It's about 63. I'll measure the width as well, just to get that over and done with. So 107.8, it's dead on. And up here, 106.1. So the blade length looks to be normal short handle. The stickers by Blank Bats have always been very minimalist. Black with the BB embossed in, and you've got the silver Blank Bat here, and you've got that all embossed in. And then up this side, it's just flat black, blankbats.co.uk, and same on the front. So the willow is the hero, you could argue, with a Blank Bat. They're not trying to disguise anything or hide anything. The willow speaks for itself. That's what that is sort of saying to you. I'll pick it up and I'll tell you what I think it weighs, because I don't know. So the pickup on the bat is very balanced, and it feels like a 2.9, but picks up a little bit better than that. So that's what I'm thinking it is. .210, so it's definitely picking up a hell of a lot better than what it feels. And that's really a nice pickup considering you've got that really convex profile, nice and full. But is it going to perform better than a bat that's actually going? I don't think so. I personally don't think so. The other thing that's important here is that it's the bat maker, you know. So what are the tells that I think make this a Keeley? Generally, Keeley does this sort of dip down at the shoulders, and you see that with the stickers as they come through. So that's one thing. The other thing that's definitely going to give it away is the quality of the binding. So that looks like a really good quality binding. It's been glued and then re-glued on the top. It's got a real good quality fibre that's been used. So that's a good tell. The other thing I know is that these grips are generally sold in the UK, but that could be that just Blank Bats are putting them on, which I think it is. The other thing that to me that is a tell is this wide cork insert that is very consistent with the other Blank Bats. And I'll put some links in the description to older Blank Bats and even Phantoms that were made by the Keeley brothers, and you can have a look at those things to say whether or not you can see any similarity. And the other giveaway will be the pressing. Middle of the roads, slightly on the softer side is generally how they feel. So we'll give it a tap up right now and make sure that that's in camera on both. And I'm going to use the leadwood mallet, starting at the toe. And it's going really well low already. That mid-low position is really pinging. And it's going good in a mid. See, off centre. And off centre it pings really well too. It almost feels, to be honest, like a bat that's partially through the knocking cycle. That's how much stiffer it feels as far as the laminate goes. He's actually asked me to knock it in, and I will be doing that. So I've actually started knocking this bat in, and my opinion has completely changed. I just did not expect the amount of performance that I'm getting out of this thing after it's been oiled. And I do have some opinions on why that is. So, as you can see here, this is our laminated portion here, where it's all glued onto the bottom layer. So this is a little bit different to those two-piece bats or double wood or whatever that just makes the bat really thick. Imagine something like that JP Gavin mega thing that had 3 pieces of wood glued together so it could have a 90mm spine. A performance laminate like this is different because what they're trying to achieve is basically a really hard layer of veneer, and that's exactly what's going on when I actually knock this in. There's been hardly any deformation of that top layer, so when they've pressed it, I think that it's pretty much pressed that top layer down as much as it can to the laminate, and what's below it doesn't really deform much at all. So that the actual pressing itself doesn't seem to impact this layer. It's all on that front performance. So what I'm seeing with this is hardly any vibration. That layer of glue, which is hardened now, is just taking all that vibration and energy, transferring it straight into the handle, which is really what you try to achieve as a bat maker, is to get this sort of handle and splice so perfectly set that all that energy that goes into the swing is not lost anywhere in this joint. It's all transferred into the bat, and that's sort of what's going on here. So glue layer has pretty much braced the bottom part, the bottom section of wood from the press, and all that energy of the press and that have gone into that top layer. So that top layer is super stiff and just doesn't seem to want to deform at all. When I knocked up here, very typical of a TK made bat, this area here was very soft. So normally with a TK made bat, it must be that they really only do a second press, the final press after the splice is done, because this area was much softer than the rest of it. And that's very typical of the older blank bats that I had before. So yeah, I honestly do think that this is a Tim Keeley made, or Keeley brother made bat. And my opinion of laminates is completely changed from when I first showed that to you and tapped it up before I oiled it to what it is now. My general opinion is now, as much as I said, yeah, maybe this would be the way to go, sort of extend all those good quality bits of willow to the masses and guarantee performance for everybody. The sheer amount of performance in that is just totally different to a regular bat, and it is very much what I would expect from, you know, your top of the line 1%. It's just got that much performance in it. It's insane, really. Just tapping that up, and there's hardly any energy being transferred here into the handle. A little bit. You can hear it's a bit tighter there, but as I get right into that middle, and even down here, there's really no spot on the bat. Obviously there's nothing down here on the toe, but it just starts from that low position, and obviously it's heavier where the mass is, and it just doesn't let up, even off center, because of that stiffness in the blade. It's just got so much ping in it. It's just insane, really. So yeah, I would not want to see laminate bats as a common thing out there in the wild, just purely because the bowler would just get sick and tired of seeing balls fly over their head to the fence. Same reason why the big kabooms of the 50 mils got banned. This thing has got the type of performance that I would expect from a bat with a much bigger edge. Very impressive. Yeah, it's basically this more expensive bat, the bat with more performance. It really only benefits the players who have got the ability to make the most out of it. Just, you know, a bat that's grade 3 may not make any more runs for you than a bat that's grade 1+. It's purely based on your own abilities. So for amateur players, this may, you know, add maybe 20 runs to the aggregate for the season. You might convert into a few more boundaries or whatever, but personally, you know, it's that whole thing about chasing golden unicorns. You don't really want to put yourself in that position. If you've got a bat you love using and it makes runs for you, you've got no reason to go out and try and hunt down a laminate or a 50 mil edge bat or anything like that. Just stick with what you know that works for you. Thank you very much to the owner for sending this. It's been a real eye-opener to actually get my hands finally on a proper laminate and feel the difference. I can understand now why you have brands like Malik and SM who actually have models that are laminated in their lineup, and why people ask bat makers to make them a laminate. It's definitely got a lot going for it. So thank you very much. And if you enjoy what I do, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, click on the like button, and hit that notification thing. I'm always reading the comments, and let's try and build the number of subscribers we've got to the page so I can reach out to more people and try and help them find the perfect bat for them. I'm not trying to sell something, I'm just purely trying to show you what's available out there and what the differences are. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Blank bat laminate.